And welcome to another real estate podcast brought to you by Ray White, the largest real estate and property group in Australasia. Well, as you know, in New South Wales, we are in another lockdown, which unfortunately for us has been extended. And I thought for this podcast, it would be a great opportunity to get the CEO of Ray White for New South Wales and ACT, Andrew McCulloch, on to talk about what affects you with this current lockdown relating to real estate sales, and just as importantly, perhaps what doesn't affect you. Andrew, welcome to the Real Estate Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Craig.
Well, it's great to have you on. And my first question regarding the current lockdown, given that this isn't the first one that we've experienced, how have we seen lockdowns affect the property market in the past?
When the first lockdown came, I think we all expected this huge sort of decrease in the market. The banks came out and talked about a 30% decline, but it didn't really come. We hit April, May, stumbled a little bit. But then as we started to come out of lockdown, the market just got stronger and stronger. As we hit that November period, it just really took off. So it hasn't been as negative as everyone thought that it was going to be, for sure.
And lockdowns are a little bit of a scary proposition, aren't they? Because nobody likes their lives upended, and sometimes the unknown can create misinformation around the selling process of a property. And I want to ask you this: what was the perception versus the reality of the 2020 lockdown around the whole real estate market?
Yeah, well, like I said, the banks sort of came out, they talked about a 30% decline. What we've seen actually over the last 12 months is a 15% increase in property value across Sydney, which is huge. The reality is that we weren't in a financial crisis, right? So all the things that got spoken about the market going backwards, it just wasn't there. It wasn't real. And people didn't have as much to sort of spend their money on. They weren't travelling. They weren't going on holidays. So you would have seen the increase in purchases of a lot of toys, boats, motorbikes, that sort of thing. But also a huge amount of money got pumped into property. Now, interestingly, we saw a massive increase in purchasing of second homes, holiday homes, beach homes, that sort of thing. So, like I said, it was just quite a different experience to what we thought we were going to have.
And as mentioned, we haven't been in a lockdown since 2020. It's now July 2021. How different are these conditions going into lockdown versus 2020's one?
I think the main difference is because we've done this before, we don't have the uncertainty that we had last time. So we've seen strong buyer inquiry continue on. Our loan pre-approvals are up 60% year on year. Our listings have wavered a little bit. So we're down a small amount year on year there. But the reality is that when we've got more buyers and less property, it's almost like the perfect storm. So anyone who's coming to market at the moment, whilst we think, well, they may need to sell, the reality is that when people are coming to market now, they're getting a premium price. So I think that that's not so much a difference, but certainly something that we didn't think was going to happen.
And as an organisation, Ray White, I would imagine, is very proactive in learning as much as possible when a lockdown attempts to disrupt people going about their daily lives, especially around the property market. What did you, Andrew, and Ray White learn from the last lockdown?
We had to pivot very quickly, right? So we knew we had to keep things running. Auctions were something that was really important to us. It's a huge piece of our culture to run auctions, create competition. So we wanted to be able to continue to do that. We did so by creating a world-class online auction platform. And the results have been great. People have still continued to take their property to auction. When we look at the stats now of clearance rates, we're running at about 86% clearance rate there. We've encouraged people to continue to show property, obviously, but within the rules that we're given. So at the moment, we're not allowed to do open homes, but we can do private inspections, one-on-one. So that means one agent, one purchaser. So it's interesting when you get a husband and wife come, we've obviously got to make one sit outside while we take the other one through. And so it's a slower process. But like I said, we've been able to pivot really quickly and continue to do business.
And data is so critical to helping understand the actual market in terms of the reality. So what is the data telling you so far?
When we look at the loan pre-approvals being 60% up year on year, it shows us there's still a lot of buyer activity. Our appraisals are up 23% year on year. So people are still inviting us in, getting us to look at property, give them an idea of value. And then it's on us to be able to show them the reality of selling in these conditions. And when they see the amount of buyer activity that's out there, because people are home at the moment, there's more eyes on realestate.com and Domain than ever. So people are very active and looking, although it's sort of early days, right, for the data at the moment. We're sort of 3 weeks in. But looking at how we've performed in the last couple of weeks, it's been very positive.
And different property types are affected in different ways. In particular, I'm thinking about the apartment market. What's happening in that space?
Yeah, it's interesting that you asked that. We found that bigger homes, obviously on bigger blocks, have been in high demand. Like I said earlier, our regional markets are very active at these times with people looking for second homes. Apartment markets have been hit slightly. So where they sort of get affected is we get less investors coming into the market, therefore less apartments get bought. And the reason for this is really around the rental market. So we've got higher vacancy rates and lower rent. That has been a little bit of a negative for us. That's not to say the prices have been affected yet, but that could happen down the line.
And I don't want to put you on the spot too much here, but have you got any predictions as we work our way through the current lockdown and out through the other side of it?
Well, if we look at Melbourne, for instance, who have been in lockdown for, I think it's something like 150 plus days for the past 12 months on and off, they sort of came out into a mini boom. And that's certainly what we are predicting. There's a number of people that are still holding off from selling. And even though we've got more buyers than ever, there will be a sort of a pocket of buyers that are still waiting. As restrictions lift, as we come out of lockdown, we really are predicting sort of another mini boom to happen.
And that's the important thing, is that we are going to come out of the lockdown better, stronger, and more informed than going into it. Hey, Andrew, thanks for joining us on the Real Estate Podcast. I think there is a lot of great information to take away from what you've just offered up, and I look forward to talking again soon.
Thanks so much, Craig.